Hello friends, Namaskar, good evening. Now in this episode of podcast, we have a very distinguished guest. I believe that he does not require much introduction. I can say this much that I am very happy to have him on my podcast. This podcast is basically meant for youth and our effort to offer them some kind of guidance by inviting experts in their respective fields. Today, we have a very known person, not only in Orissa, but he's also having work experience as an administrator, retired IAS officer, a bureaucrat, a writer, a columnist, and educationist. He happens to be the chairman of different education centers like DAB, School of Business Management, DBB, Schools of Orissa, and had worked in various places. But he started his career from Bihar as a bureaucrat, a very difficult place of northern Bihar, and he managed very nicely. I will request and introduce my guest, Sri Arun Rath IAS officer. I welcome you, sir, to this podcast and request you to say a few words giving details of your work experience. In addition, I will also add a few points from my side in appreciation of your work experience and credible life journey. Welcome, sir.
Namaskar, good evening, dear friends. I'm happy to be with Pradeep in the Dil Tak program, and I'm really honored that he has invited me to speak to you. About me, I would say that I have been working for almost last 50 years non-stop in different avatars. First is a civil servant, as an IAS officer in the Bihar cadre, then in Government of India. After retirement from the IAS, I have become a professor of management. In between, I write books. I've been to Antarctica, wrote travel stories. Now I enjoy being a columnist. I am also in the field of education, chairman of 3 DAP schools. I enjoy working. I never stop working in my life. So it's a really great joy to be with Pradeep this evening.
So nice to hear about you. I'll just probably you have been very conservative in explaining about your credible journey, and let me say a few words from my side, which he has probably intentionally not given you idea about. He has a credible journey. Let me say he deserves a lot of appreciation for his incredible journey. Also, I can say he happened to be collector in districts of Bihar like Begusarai, Muzaffarpur, Darbhanga, and Chhapra. So he has a quite wide experience of working in a difficult places rather of Bihar. Then he happens to be instrumental in one of the very important policies which Government of India has been forced to adopt. It was only he virtually he was the instrumental on that. That is free and compulsory education for children, if I'm not wrong.
Yes.
So this is before the right of education was implemented. This was his background work which virtually forced the Government of India to adopt the right of education, right? And also he has been actively involved in the policy making for new education policy 2020. I believe in due course of time he will be kind enough to speak about his role in forming policies for new generation, right? So sir, I'd like to ask, how do you see the present status of primary education in India, especially in government run schools? Because this many times have been pointed out by many educationists or intellectually conscious people, they're not happy with the kind of status in government run schools. Please.
Very well said, very well said. Let us not forget that almost 30 years back, we had schools without buildings, without teachers, sometimes under a tree or a broken house. Now, the right to education, which I always consider a great honor for me to have been the architect of the right to education, which is right of children to Free and Compulsory Education Act 2009, which I drafted and also put to Parliament. Now, because of this act, it is illegal to have any school without minimum infrastructure of a building, compound wall, library, laboratory, separate toilets for boys and girls, minimum number of teachers, and all that. Now, come to the point of teacher. Now, teacher quality is a big problem in India. I would say we should look at it from different point of view. Why a person becomes teacher? He doesn't become IAS officer, doesn't become a civil servant, doesn't become anything else. After failing everything, he takes to the B.Ed course and becomes teacher. What do you get? You get absolutely of course nowadays things are changing, but normally, usually, you do not get the best quality of students who come to teaching jobs. Now, the National Education Policy says very clearly the best and brightest must be teachers. Because a teacher, whatever he teaches in the classroom is final for the student. Entire life the student learns that thing. So we should reverse the process and attract the best and brightest students as teachers. Now, government schools may have a little problem because the private schools get a little more, they pay more to teachers. So generally, the better qualified people gravitate to private schools. Now, we should think of better pay package, not only pay, respect social standing, respect benefits, and not involving teachers in so many works. Now, election comes, census comes. In government teachers, mostly they are the first victims of getting drafted. So we should change our attitude toward teachers and get the best and brightest to join as the profession of teachers. Otherwise, you are ruining generations of students. This is what I would say. Let us change our attitude to teachers and ensure that they get the best that is available to be given to a person as a teacher.
So, Ratsa, whom to be made responsible for such kind of changes in Indian education system? On the contrary, when we compare with our neighboring country like China, which has virtually exponentially grown in terms of education quality, in terms of infrastructure, in terms of technology, in terms of administration, in terms of social securities to the teachers and other. So why this you find is ailing Indian education system today?
Besides the teacher quality, even their refresher courses, their own education. After somebody joins a teacher, doesn't mean that he knows everything. Refresher courses, in-service training, and their exchange of ideas among teachers, these are lacking, totally absent. With a teacher has done B.Ed, entire life he remains a teacher and he can do things himself. Now, disciplining is one thing, that you can discipline them, punish them, dismiss them. But an approach of discipline is not conducive in the long run. They should be motivated, inspired to be best teachers possible. So reward them, encourage them, motivate them, besides discipline them, and give them a better treat. Time was there when you used to consider teacher to be Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Deva Maheshwara. Is it so today? Now, whether teachers are responsible or society or students is a debatable point. But we have to restore the glory and the high esteem of a teacher in society. Then you can motivate them and also get the best. Today, If you ask somebody, you want to be a teacher? Perhaps you say, no, I won't be a teacher. I will be something different. So can we reverse the attitude of everybody towards teachers?
So why good brains are not attracted towards teaching in brief?
I will tell you. I was conducting an interview in the Odisha Public Service Commission for the post of OAS officers. I got one candidate who is a PhD in physics from IIT, and he has come to interview to become an OAS officer. He has attempted 4 times and failed. I asked him, you are a PhD from IIT in physics. We do not have physics professors. Why did you join as a physics professor? The answer was, I want to serve my country as a OAS officer. I mean, fine, it's a good stock answer. But the problem is that nobody wants to be even a professor. They would like to become, do a routine job of a tahsildar or a BDO or a OAS officer. Routine jobs. You need a plain graduate. You don't need IIT PhDs to become tahsildars. But this is the situation. I think we all are responsible. We should change our attitude and see that it is reversed. You should be attracted to become a teacher and a professor and not a tahsildar. So I think we have to do ourselves, society, government, the pay structure, the benefits, the social esteem, all are responsible for driving the bright students away from teaching jobs. This is what I must say.
I think you have said a very valid point. We will discuss again about this. Today, one of the very prestigious jobs is considered to be civil services, right? People say that once you become an IAS officer, you can make a change. But today the irony, irony is politics and the quality of politicians ruling this country or the state, where the IAS officers have become mere a kind of followers, or maybe they give the instruction without realizing, because even many a times we find they feel helpless in doing something under the political conditions or the restrictions or controls they have been working for. So don't you feel that even these IAS officers are not able to function with a free mind and free hand in changing the system?
It's a very loaded question, I must say, because I have been myself an IAS officer, and what difficult state like Bihar, I must say that in a democracy, ultimately the political masters have to take the decisions in the policy matters. But I would say that if you are doing a good work, if you are sincere and committed in your own approach, no political master can disturb you. I have seen. I am writing my own memoirs, which I call it Swimming Against the Tide, the Untold Stories. There are 20 episodes of the book which is coming up. There, what I have tried to show that despite the difficulties of the political system, which I have encountered in Bihar, very difficult state in those days, I have come out successful because I could present a better alternative which the politician cannot refuse. So your strength of your professional conduct is very important. Are you professional? Are you running to them for postings? If you run to them posting, they will really make your life miserable. But I used to say, if you transfer me, I'll go tomorrow. I always carry my charge report in my pocket. Transfer me. I will not come to you for requesting you to change my transfer. And I have never requested any politician to change my transfer. But I can tell you, despite this attitude, I have got the best postings. My postings are generally 2 to 3 years tenure. I have not been transferred very often. Although I do not succumb to any pressure, because they know ultimately I will do a good job. And mind you one thing, the worst politician also likes and wants good officers, because they say he is the person who will do my work, because tomorrow I have to go to get votes. If I don't do any good work, I don't get promoted. So I also need good officers. So I think we should, as a civil servant community, we should try to follow our own ethics, our own work culture, and let the politicians do their job. Let them do their job.
Okay, coming to again education and especially focusing towards primary education in India, I have seen there's a definite downfall in the quality of teaching standards in the government-run schools, barring a few where the teachers or the principal they made the difference. There are a number of schools which have been awarded others school or something like that. So somebody who visited recently in China, he said that the primary schools, government-run schools in China, happens to be the far better than the public schools of India, which are prevalent in China. They said that there is no comparison. So 78,572 crores have been allocated towards primary education in India for the year 2025-2026. How do you see this amount will be sufficient to manage and improve the quality of schools, the standard of schools, the infrastructure which you spoke about the schools which must have, as you were the party to particular policy making, you said that these are the must for any primary and secondary schools, right? So do you feel that this particular amount which has been allocated will be able to, and if it is, will it be rightly spent?
Very good. Two parts of the question. One is the government schools performance. As I told you at the beginning, the government teachers are subject to a lot of assignments or work outside teacher. There is a flood, there is a census, the election, any government work, they are first to be drafted. So they are dislocated often from their schools. And coupled with that, the conditions in which they work, not very good pay, not very good social esteem, these are contributing to the fall in standards. In fact, I did a survey through NCRT when I was Secretary of Education about the learning levels. Now, learning levels are falling in India. Like class 7 student doesn't know the subject of class 5. So 2 years gap. This is coming very serious matter. So what teacher teaches is something. What student learns is something different. There's a gap between teaching and learning. We have to bridge that gap and always try to empower the teacher. The teacher has done B.Ed, has done his subject, but he also needs empowerment. He also needs training. He also needs refresher courses. We don't do that. We said after he's done B.Ed, he's final, nothing to be done. So we should also allow teachers to be empowered to teach the subject. And things are changing. The subjects are changing also. So should the teacher not be put to some refresher courses? Second part of the question is 78,000 crores. I mean, let us not go by the illusion of figures. What is it that we spend as a percentage of GDP is more important. These absolute numbers do not mean much. Now, National Education Commissions 68, 92 and 2020 all have recommended that at least 6% of GDP must be spent on education, all sectors of education. Now, today we are spending about 3.5%, which is about slightly more than half, but not enough, 60% of our target. So, every developed country spends more than 6% of the GDP on education. There's a huge gap on spending. Now, I don't mean that money alone matters, but money is the beginning. If you do not provide money, then the schools are really depleted of their basic facility, infrastructure, laboratory, library, equipment, playground. You know, school is not only for classroom, but playground, sports, good health, midday meal. So these are the casualties with a lower budget system than it should be. So we should spend, to begin with, at least 6% of GDP on education. The 17,000 figure is very misleading. It may be leading to 3.4% of GDP. So therefore, let us be more serious. Sometimes I feel that we give only lip service to education. But everybody wants their children to be educated. But when it comes to money, oh sorry, we don't have enough budget, so you manage with that. That's a bad approach. We should provide the necessary funds to education.
See, very interesting point. I believe that it is pushing me to ask certain more question, maybe slightly a bitter question also, because you have served as a bureaucrat also. Just let me, who stops when we have 100 rupees and we spend on operational cost, administration cost, towards the salary, towards the pension, towards other what you call unnecessary expenses which government incur in that way. Who stops to increase the budget for primary education? The foundation of the education starts from what you call when the person, the boy, the kid goes to school at the age of 3 or 4. And here in China or in Japan also, there are what you call certain planned systems in which the early 10 years or 12 years children are not given any kind of academic courses or teachings. So they are made to learn the human values, and the system, the customs and the things those who virtually become the part of your life and your personality for the entire life, if I'm not wrong. Here we don't talk about that. So what else government of India to increase the budget from what you call 78.572 crores to 1000 crores to more, as per you say that. Moreover, the very interesting point is we have a population of around 140 crores, right? And out of that, 25, we just noted down, 25 crores is the number of children going to the schools. For 25,000 crore children, we have a school number of school is 15 lakhs or 1.5 million schools in India. If you again further divide it, you find it is more than 1,000 plus students. There's one teacher, as in case you can say, on the schools. Do you feel it is sufficient to provide enough quality education to children at this particular formative days?
The number of questions you have asked, very interesting questions, very, very significant questions. Now we'll begin with the first one. Now, teacher. There's a huge shortage of teachers in India. I think 12 lakh teachers are short in India. Now, how do we fill up the gap? We have to create more institutions. We do not have the capacity of institutions to create that much number of teachers. So, the strength of teachers in a school is not filled up. So we have got hardly half or two-thirds teachers filled up. So we have to speed up the teacher training process, the B.Ed courses, more B.Ed colleges. Otherwise, you can't create teachers of the requisite number. Now, second point, you spoke about the ultimate fund giver. Now, Amartya Sen wrote an article, very beautiful article. It's called Education, the Catalyst for Social Change. There he says something very interesting. He said, everybody, you go to a village, ask the poor man or whatever, what do you want? Can you educate my child? I want education for my children. So 140 crore Indians, they all want education. That's what Amartya Sen writes. But when it comes to providing facility and resources, sorry, we don't have enough money. Now, what Amartya Sen writes is that because in the election manifesto, you see, examine it clearly, education is not an item. People speak about it, but in the election manifesto, it doesn't come. So therefore, Amartya Sen says, the political process has not accepted education is a critical point. So we suffer for that, but I think we should change the attitude and make education number one. In fact, the Greek philosopher Aristotle said that education should be number one priority of government. Everything else must wait. Even law and order, he would actually say that Even law and order security should come later. So number one is education. So 3000 years back we've been talking about education, but India has not accepted that. Of course, 1000 years back education was a high priority, but in the last 1000 years time, I think education has fallen to a lower priority. I think we should restore the primacy of education in our social process. That number one is education, everything else will follow. So I think we have to. I think things are changing. The national education policy, right to education, and the directions have been there, but we have to follow. And the time limit of 2040, with the NEP 2020 has given. They have given time limit of 2025, 2030, 2035. Timelines are there. I think we stick to timelines and proceed one by one. I think in next 15-20 years time we should be able to catch up with the rest of the world.
Do you feel that, because this again raises a few important and pertinent questions about, can we compete with others as far as the quality of manpower India is producing right now? Let's talk about the difference in the global manpower requirement and the technologies associated with the education system. And here in India, we are probably sticking more to the theoretical part than to the practical aspects, and therefore the vocational courses in India, especially in the primary and the secondary level, have never been given that much of importance as compared to competitive countries like China, Japan, Korea, even Vietnam has come up very well. So do you feel that somewhere the curriculum must change looking into the need of the global market?
Very good point. Coming to the last part, that is vocational education. The NEP 2020 gives great stress on making the vocational education a formal part, not informal part, formal part of the school curriculum. It says between class 6 to class 8, every child in the school must take up a vocational course as a compulsion and be assessed. Now earlier it was there, but it was not being assessed. So time has come to make it compulsory and provide assessment in the mark sheet. So now every country, you name those countries, they are 10 times higher regarding vocational education. Now our NEP says that we should go up 10 times more than the current level. You know, simple, I'll give you an example. A plumber, electrician, a mason, they are the people who constructed the Taj Mahal are illiterates. So a electrician comes to your house and he is maybe not going to even class 4 or class 5, but he has the entire circuit design of the house. Can we not get them trained, or can we not start at the school level that train the students to be also electrician, a plumber, and similar jobs, motor mechanic? What is wrong about it? We should have a respect for labor. Let them, they may not ultimately end up as a plumber, but should know that plumbing. In the house, if something goes wrong, nobody knows about plumbing. Can't the school do these small jobs? In fact, the vocational education part of the NEP 2020 says, yes, every child must have a vocation, either motor mechanic or plumbing or anything. Today, you go to UK, everybody knows. They don't have labor, they don't have any artisan, they do it themselves, because the schools teach them these small jobs of doing in the house without calling a plumber or electrician. They do themselves. So school curriculum must include, otherwise you are only producing clerks at the end after plus 2. In fact, when after plus 2, when the child comes home, suppose he does go to university, the parents find that he knows nothing. So can he not be taught about the small vocations, which can use full-time or part-time? I think we have to change compared to those countries you named. We have to make it 10 times more than the current level.
See, Ratsab, very valid point you said, and it puts a question mark on the pedagogy of our education system. And if I'm not wrong, because I've been also been closely watching, being a career consultant, I have gone to many colleges as an expert speaker, and we find that the quality of teaching is one part which we have just discussed about. At the same time, quality of students going for higher education, even the person who has acquired PhD is not virtually a genuine PhD holder. You said about that we don't have teachers, qualified teachers to meet the vacancies. Here, on the contrary, people say that we have got highest number of qualified unemployed people. Those, if given the chance, could fill up the gaps, fill up the vacancies, especially in primary and secondary education level. So where is the problem? First. Secondly, I normally, there are a number of questions which are there, and I'm able to stop myself asking multiple questions at one go. So what is the reason that we are not able to fulfill or fill up the vacancies if the government has, as you said, about more than 13 lakhs,
12 lakhs.
12 lakhs, 13, 12 lakhs vacancies there. We have got sufficient manpower waiting for jobs. Even for D group exams, recently we have seen in Sambalpur, PhD holders, the postgraduates were sitting on the airport strip or on the airstrip to face an exam. So don't you feel that somewhere we have gone wrong and we are not able to understand the need of our, I'm talking from the policymakers' point of view, that we have lacked some vision in improving the quality of education, taking care of the problems upfront and solving it without wasting much of the time when we talk about 30 years down the line, 100 years down the line. So are we not doing injustice to the present generation?
Very good question. In fact, I will go back to my data. The 12 lakh vacancies of teachers in the country. I think Odisha about 50,000 to 1 lakh vacancies are there. Now, problem is not about unemployment and filling of vacancies, but they are not qualified to be teachers. Why? Our capacity of teacher qualifying the candidates for teachership in B.Ed course is limited. We have not created those institutions who can train teachers, because today, as per right to education, nobody can be teacher unless he is qualified through a proper degree of a university. Now we have not created those institutions, either universities or with the B.Ed colleges. We don't have. So the capacity is very low, and we have not taken steps to create those institutions. So those who are unemployed, they can't be teachers automatically unless they go through a process of getting certified degrees through universities that is recognized. So the problem lies there. Can we not create at a very fast space by again providing funds, which is again short, by creating new universities? Coming to Odisha, Odisha is one of the most underserved states of the country. We do not have those universities. We have, I think, we need at least 50, 60 universities more, much more. We don't have that. Who will create? Maybe sometimes private institutions. But I think it's government which should create universities. Because once you have a private university, then you have other problems. The fee structure, the quality also becomes a problem. So the short point is that we should create institutions, more universities, more B.Ed colleges, and to cater to the needs of the growing number of schools and teachers' jobs. So vacancies will remain till we do not increase supply side of the teachers' demands. So, and at the same time, we should also find that some areas, let's say Odisha, some areas are underserved. Some districts are very low percentage-wise among teachers because people don't go there. So create more institutions there, like let's say Mayurbhanj is one of the most backward districts of the country. So create those institutions in Mayurbhanj so that people don't have to go from outside and refuse to go there. Create them there. Koraput, like Kulbani, create those institutions there. More universities there. Now, some of these districts have only one university. They may need more, 5, 6. Create them. So the supply side must go up, and there's a way to meet. But are we serious about it? This basic point. Perhaps yes, perhaps not.
Again, when we seriously think about the solution which has come up from your conversation, deliberation, you have given hints that the government role somehow is lacking somewhere the willpower to see the changes, if I'm not wrong. Coming back to the power given to a collector of a district, I have seen certain success stories of young collectors or experienced the person with a strong willpower made significant changes by improving the basic infrastructures in his own given territory as a collector and the district. His personal interest going to the remotest area to see the quality of schools, teachers, and he helped instead of using his power to suspend somebody or punish somebody, he worked as a catalyst and supported the system and made certain changes which become a kind of ideal others district where education. So do you feel that individual officer can also make significant changes in his own area without the interference of the politicians?
Yes, I see that. I was collector of one of the most difficult districts of the country, that is the Begusrai, you told, in Bihar. For 3 years, I was collector of Muzaffarpur. Not so difficult, but also difficult in some way. 2 years, so 5 years as collector, then commissioner of 3 divisions. I have seen the officer as a head of district can make a lot of difference. Not only education, all fields, in health. So let's not forget that health is perhaps after education or maybe equal to education, health. We have similar problem of health also, spending, manpower, hospitals. Now, I as collector, I did on these two, education and health. I did create institutions at my level. I used to get Red Cross involved, and I created in the most remote areas of the district Red Cross hospitals by local donation, children hospitals. Like this, you can. Now, problem is that we do not create institutions. Institutions are very important for growth of a nation, of a district, of a people or a block. So create institutions. Government does give you funds, but go beyond government. There are many ways you can get local contribution. If you see a good project, I've seen, people of Begusrai are so helpful. I floated 2-3 projects of donation, and people came forward, and we did within 1 year time, hospital, children hospital, the disaster center, beyond government money, I did create. So you can do a lot of innovation, and you can really make a mark. And when you leave, people don't leave you. That why you transfer our collector? Even they went to the chief minister. Why you transfer our collector? He said he's there for 3 years. So I said no, I want to go now. Go to a new place. 3 years is enough. So therefore, a young collector, they were 26 years old, 27 years old. That time I did, because that time, of course, energy has not gone down, but still I had more energy and I could do a lot of good work. The floods, tremendous floods came to Begusrai in my time. I did tremendous work of drinking water supply, of health supply, of food. Great thing you can do by your own initiatives. Of course, government does help, but beyond government funds also, you can do a lot of local resource mobilization. And I did a lot of good work, and people were very happy. They were allowed to go from the district. So they are good experiences which I had in a very difficult area to work with. Thank you very much for asking this question.
That's very nice, and nice to listen about you. Now we'll be at the verge of closure of this discussion, but I believe that I am not interested to close. We have a limitation. I wish there are a number of questions still pending, but one question I will ask, and I believe that this would come from the Dil Se Dil Tak, the title which I have given. How do you feel as an Indian? The corruption is killing the real India. Corruption at all levels. If I happen to be, I'm personally concerned about seeing the pathetic situation somewhere, and you must be, because you are more exposed to education, administration, so you must have varied experiences. You have traveled a lot, traveled to Antarctica, stayed there. You have been to UK or other countries. I'd just like to have your very candid version. Do you feel corruption is impacting India adversely?
Yes, it does. But we must understand why corruption takes place and why it is rising. Now, I have a lot of, you can give volumes of, write volumes on this, talk hours on this. But I ask a question, or rather, I would rather give an answer also. That our society is very, very tolerant of corruption. Society, I would say that doesn't dislike corruption. If there's a corrupt man, is he boycotted? I have seen very, very corrupt officers who go behind bar, come out, and no stigma. The society accept them equally well. You go to a party, he is a man who has just come out of bar, come out of the jail. It's normal. So does society dislike such persons? Perhaps not. It's not an issue at all. So there's kind of a social tolerance of corruption, which is a great, great problem for India. Society should not tolerate corruption, because when somebody is doing corruption, he is doing something against society. Society doesn't feel that. Therefore, social acceptance of corruption, I would say, is the most basic factor for more corruption. You can punish, but after that he comes out and he is accepted in society. So if society dislikes such persons, it will go down.
Okay.
Of course, you can punish corrupt people, you can catch them, you can put behind bar, you can arrest, anything. It's there. It's there happening also. But at the end of the entire process, society is not bothered.
There's a tragedy. Nice listening you, Ratsam. I believe that you have not, rather I have not been able to explore the best of you during this small conversation. Many are left out. I wish that in coming days, if you can spare time, we'll discuss more about it and try to know from the experts, or rather, we had used the word from horse's mouth, that what ails our education system, and if a person of eminence like you could contribute through this small podcast, I believe our purpose of inviting you will be served. So once again, thank you so much from my heart for honoring me to be here on this podcast.
Thank you very much,
Thank you.
dear listeners and dear Pradeep.